those of you who got an invite, welcome to Nerd Prom.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all Nerds International. With the hyphen. Nerds International proudly presents.
We want to take you on a quest for knowledge. One that will take us from ancient medieval fantasy across the far reaches of space to the distant future. To many savage worlds.
Hi, this is Manuel, and I went to Spiel in Essen 2017, where I met two awesome people who were nice enough to give me an interview. The first one I don't really have to introduce. He's none other than Wiggy himself from Triple Ace Games. My second interview partner is less known in RPG circles, but nevertheless he's an awesome guy. He is Wrot of Gatekeeper Games, and he is hopefully going to be famous for the amazing two-colored dice he developed and produces. You can find them on Amazon.com. He also has a very cool advice column about bringing your game or product to Kickstarter on his website. You will find links to all of those in the show notes. Enjoy! I hope you're working, or I'm going to throw you in the garbage. Alright, hello everybody. I'm here at Spiel in Essen 2017, and I'm here with none other than Wiggy himself, Paul Wade Williams from Triple Ace Games. Hello Wiggy, thank you for having me.
Thank you for spending time to talk to me.
So this Spiel 2017, is this your first Spiel, or have you been here for other years as well?
No, this is our first time in Essen.
Wow, first time convention in Germany?
Yeah, it's the first time in Germany to show our products.
So since you live in the UK, do you do other conventions in the UK?
I only go to one personally because I live in a small island north of Scotland. Oh. So I only go to UK Expo, but we do tend to, because we're a small company and there are only two of us, it's harder to get to shows, but we are starting to get further afield, starting to get our name about a bit further now.
So the other guys on the show, so there's your, I should probably call him your second in command. So what's with the other guys? Do you rent them here?
No, Rob is my business partner. He does all the board games and the graphic design work, whereas I do the writing, and the other chap there is just a Euro minion that we've got for the show.
So he's the extra for here.
Yes, exactly. Just a hired help.
Nice. Yeah, because I've been to a convention earlier this year, ShakeCon.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I saw you sponsored a lot of the giveaway prizes.
Yes.
I won one of the Daring Tales of Adventures companions.
Oh, excellent.
I was going for Necropolis, but that was gone so far. I was rather low in the raffle.
And we do have a German edition of Necropolis.
Yes,
which Prometheus do.
Oh, yeah, Prometheus.
Yes, we were talking about them earlier with someone who knows about Prometheus.
So are you still going to keep up business with Prometheus, or are you looking for other partners as well?
It's a tricky one. I don't want to slag anybody off, obviously, as we would say, but Prometheus haven't put a lot of our stuff out, to be honest, so chances are that as we move forwards, then chances are that we'll try and find a new partner to work with. Yes, in Germany.
For German translations.
Yeah, purely for the German translations, yeah.
Okay, so coming to pure Savage Worlds questions. So, Hellfrost. You hired a German, Hans Bote, I think. Is he German? His name sounds German.
What, Hans?
Hans, yeah.
Hans Boff, or both, I think. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Yes, Hans has been a fan of ours since I was working in Pinnacle. and then we moved over to Triple S Games and started the company, and Hans followed us as a customer, but now he's become a valuable friend, and he does some of our translation work.
Oh, that too.
Yes, he's done some translation.
So I saw the posting that he's now your main line editor for Hellfrost.
Yes, he's he's actually, even though it says just Hellfrost, he does all our Savage Worlds.
Oh wow!
Because next month on the 15th we'll be kickstarting All for One second edition, and he'll be the editor for that as well.
Oh wow! So he's going to be keeping busy. I guess.
yes, plenty of work for him.
So any new books for Hellfrost that are coming out? Any more of the numbered books, like the Encounters book Volume 2 or something?
We've been toying about Encounters 2. Encounters is a strange book that everyone who's bought it has absolutely loved it because it's a great resource, but it has been hard to sell for some reason.
Great feedback, low sales.
Yes, it is very strange. It is very strange.
So maybe because it's marketed as you can use it in any setting, people who play Hellfrost may be like, oh well, then I don't really need it because I can just improvise it myself.
Yes, quite possibly, because it is just encounters. Yeah. Some gyms need that little bit of help, whereas most, I would think, are quite capable of doing their own encounters and their maps and everything.
Yeah.
But we've kickstarted the Hellfrost screen early last month, I think it was.
It was August, I think.
Yeah, so that's almost ready now to go to the printers. And many years ago we had a resource management rules to enable you to run a village or a castle. That's being massively expanded. I think it was 32 pages to start with, and there's a new version coming which I think is 68 pages now.
Oh, that is nice.
And that's a lot more like Birthrights. You've got neighbours around you who interfere with your plans to build your village up by raiding you, or there's political alliances against you.
Very cool. There was a system like that in Broken Earth, I believe it's called, some post-apocalyptic setting, and it touched on that, but it's a rather old publication, so getting a refresh on that with some new and your genius behind it, that's going to make a lot of people, myself included, really, really happy.
That's nice to know.
So you already touched on it. All for One, Regime Diabolique,
yes.
Second edition. So do you have a date for the Kickstarter?
Yes, the 15th of November.
You heard it here first, folks.
And it should run for 3 weeks, we think.
Alright, that's rather average for a Kickstarter, I think 3 weeks to 1 month.
We normally do about 2 weeks.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we're quite short with ours because we tend to try and get 6 or 7 a year because we've got so many books lined up.
Yeah.
But for this book, because it's a brand new print run and it's going to be at least sort of 40 pages more, so we decided to leave this one for 3 weeks. So it should end early December. I'll start writing it next year, probably about January, and then it will fulfill sometime between October and December, but is our current plans.
Alright, so just in time for Christmas next year.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Very nice.
Or Halloween if we're lucky.
So maybe any chance of previews of that in Spiel next year, if you're coming next year?
I would certainly hope so, yes, I would certainly hope so, even if we only have one print proof to actually show people.
Yeah, just something they can rifle through and just get a general idea of the book. Oh, I would love that. So is this going to be a full line, or is it going to be just All for One, a core book, second edition, and then that's about it?
That's really going to depend on how much support there is. When we first wrote All for One, it was for Ubiquity, and we had 22 small PDF expansions. But in the Savage Worlds one, because we don't have to put the core rules in, all that material is going to be in the book anyway. Plus we're doing a new setting for it called Satan's Playground, set in Germany during the 30 Years
Yeah, I've seen
War.
the Kickstarter for that, for the Ubiquity one.
Yes, that's right, yeah. So all of that information is going to be in the core rules of the new Savage Worlds version, so it's going to make it probably about 200 pages.
Wow.
But we do have a book called Paris Gothique, and we have an adventure compendium for the Ubiquity setting, so they'll probably be stretch goals. And if it proves popular, then yes, I'll start writing more brand new material just for the Savage Worlds line.
Nice. Oh, going to be interesting. So, any plans for some of your older books or older lines to maybe touch up on it, refresh, expand, like something like maybe Sunlit Skies? Or...
Well, we're currently talking to someone who wants to license Sunlit Skies and write brand new material for it.
Oh.
That's not something we've actually announced public, so this is an exclusive for you.
And once again, you heard it here first.
That will probably be later in the year that we'll start that and we'll announce it. Hellfrost, of course, is our big line, but that's now 10 years old. It will be 10 years in May next year.
Wow, 10 years already.
Yes, I know. It's so we're probably going to do a brand new edition of that simply for the 10th anniversary. So we're going to take out all the mistakes we've made and rewrite it, change a few things, but not enough that it's going to ruin all your other books or anything. Whether we'll do any more Daring Tales, I don't know. They proved very popular, but it's, I mean, I'm the only person writing them, and I only have enough time to do so much a year, unfortunately. And as for Necropolis, that's probably not going to get any new material, I wouldn't have thought. I did a few small books about each of the Night Orders, and I've got, I think, 4 more to go, so I'll finish them at some point, but that's probably it.
Alright, so there's some new material coming, but then it's probably going to be a closed circuit, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, any hints on anything brand new you haven't announced yet you may want to share?
To be honest, I would love to give you some really exclusive news, but it's really only going to be all for one, I think, for the near future. And then, as I say, that will depend on how much support we get from the fans.
Yeah. So, to anybody listening, buy those books. And not just because I want more, you're going to feed Wiggy. Don't be a bad person. Buy his books. All of them. From his stock.
Yes, please do.
So, and for the end, I couldn't get away without asking one very important question to a dear friend of mine, from a dear friend of mine. What's your favorite ice cream?
Coconut.
You heard it here first, folks. So thank you. That was me with Wiggy at Spiel 2017. Thank you, guys. I think it's a good idea to start a recording with a laugh. So, I'm here with John Wrot of Gatekeeper Games. He and his company are producing some amazing dice. And we're going to talk about the dice just in a second, because we're going to get the dice via the other 2 games you produce. So, the latest game you have is a game about fish.
Yes.
So, how do you pronounce that fish in English?
The game is called Adapt, so that's, you don't have to worry about it. Saying gefilte fish or tuna fischka or whatever is on our pizza I had last night. Tuna's big in Germany, that's what I've learned.
Kind of, but I think it's disgusting. Yeah, I'm one of the anti-tuna faction guys.
I'm alright with it. We can still be friends.
That is good to hear.
You can get the game and beat the snot out of that tuna. Show it what you think.
So that is one, but the dice actually originated from your other game, which is called...
The King's Armory.
The King's Armory, right. So you wanted to produce a special D20 for that game. Was that because of a stretch goal or just
Exactly. Our last stretch goal on that game was our first campaign, our first thing ever. It's like, hey, let's see if we can do this. I had a $92,000 or $95,000 stretch goal on the campaign, which would be for multicolored D20s that thematically match the heroes in the game. So expecting to be able to source that from somewhere. And then once we had funded, I went around to all the big named dice companies that you can think of right now, and they all told me no. Well, some told me no, some just never responded to me, and some said we can do like 2 of the colors, but not all 7 or 9 that you need. And I was like, oh dear. So I went back to my manufacturer and I said, hey, look, you and me, we need to find out a way to make this happen. I'm a promise keeper, and you've quoted me, so you've promised me. So let's find a way to make this work. And as a result of a kept promise, halfsies dice were invented.
Wow. So the idea to make full dice sets, that came later as...
That was a gift from God Almighty. We were searching for D20s for our game, and when sampling came through, full polyhedral dice sets were delivered to me as the sample. At which point I, this is my religious standpoint, but I literally fell on my knees and thanked God above as I saw my family being fed for the rest of the future on a amazing, reliable product that's very universal, not language dependent. Substitute, even for your basic game of Catan, you can replace the D6s with better looking dice. Dice are ubiquitous and they're beautiful and they're useful. And I'm truth be told, I'm an RPG player at heart. So when those showed up, I just, fell on my knees and then danced a lot.
On your knees?
Yes. Yes.
So the colors of the dice, are those that are available now, are all those just the ones that spanned from the original game you did, or did you add new colors later?
We added a bajillion new colors. So the original sets were, we had 14 original, but they're only available in D20s. Then when we went into producing the full sets for their own sake, we chose the best color combinations. And my company slogan is "This is your game." Do ton of backer or online customer involvement, voting in what colors you want, and naming characters in my game and things of that sort, so that when you're playing it, it's really an authentic experience. It feels like you've been part of creating it, you've been part of playing it. And so most of the colors that we have are chosen by backers.
Oh, very nice. So there was a Kickstarter for the dice, especially.
Yes.
Afterwards, and as my lovely assistant told me, that absolutely went through the roof.
Yeah, the first one did really amazingly well. We produced 10 color sets right from go. So we had 10 amazing color sets in our first run. Then when we made Adapt, we made 6 more color sets for it, because the game requires 3 full polyhedral sets to play the game, which are of course included in it. And then we recently did what we call halfsies 2.0 affectionately, or more appropriately termed halfsies Dice World Tour, where we literally took every dice set, 32 dice prototypes, and sent them around the world for a worldwide photography project in the name of Unity. So every dice set was set to a thematic location, because we name our sets. Mm-hmm. So our purple and gold set we named Moonlight Sonata, because it's like moon gray and midnight purple. And so we sent it to Bonn, Germany, and it was photographed in front of Beethoven's home, because it's Moonlight Sonata. And that story times... I said 32. We have 32 produced. We had 50 prototypes that we sent around the world. So that's story times 50. We have archipelago dice, which of course means island chain. They were photographed on a beach in the Philippines. We have frozen tundra dice. They were photographed in the snow cap of the Alps, and in Austria. It was just pretty amazing. We have dice in front of a queen's bed in a castle, and because they're queen's dice, and it's awesome. It's just so super cool, and to see so many volunteers come together to do that and to make this project, in the name of Unity, is it's cool, because
yeah, we're all gamers.
We're all gamers, and gamers and dice are both ubiquitous worldwide. So it's really cool.
Yeah, when we go, the other goes.
Yep.
That is really amazing. So, yeah, you said you chose colors by you name your dice, and when you come up with new colors, do you have a thought process for that, or do you just go to the polls and go to like, hey fans, what colors would you like us to produce next?
I usually I'll sit down and I'll think about like what colors would probably work, because there are totally people who recommend how about you have orc snot green and ogre vomit orange, and I'm like, hey, yeah, that's really cute.
Hey Gary, they know you.
That's a great idea. Oh gosh, that didn't make it into the voting process this time. I'm sorry. Thank you very much, though. So we comb through some of the insane suggestions for color combinations that are actually appreciable. Yeah. So one of our next ones, though, somebody even pointed out at Essen Spiel here, was that they said that we don't have enough color combinations with black on a half. Mm-hmm. Which is neat, because our next run is going to be, we're hoping for a black on purple and a black on yellow. The black on yellow will affectionately be referred to as a bat dice.
Oh, very good.
No copyright infringement.
Oh, that's going to make one of the players in my Sun and Skies campaign very happy, because she plays a character that's going to be a dragon, and she's colored black and yellow.
And at least 1/3 of everybody who comes by and sees them on display will be like, "Oh, it's Bumblebee dice." Like, whatever.
Well, with our group,
Bat dice, but if you want to call them Bumblebee.
with our group, they're always going to be dragon dice. So technically not the name you gave them, but not Bumblebee dice.
This is your game. These are your dice. If you want to take out the little slip of paper and rename them, that's fine with me.
So you, as you advertised them, you said they were the densest dice. I guess the densest that are not metal dice.
Correct.
On the planet. So
the densest resin dice on the planet. So we use a high density resin to begin with, higher density than our competitors, which is why our price is a little bit higher than those. And the half and half split instead of a half and half swirl. I mean, a 2-color swirl. The 2-color split down the middle is harder to do. It's the reason why they haven't been made before us. I kind of do the hard thing that's cool. It's kind of the way I do things. So take a look at my games. I'll be happy to show you about that. My manufacturers are really pleased with the stuff I come up with. But so we the half and half design helps us to eliminate more air bubbles. So when the first half is cooling, we can't pour the first half on too quickly, or it'll bleed through or turn into a swirl. So while the first half is cooling, bubbles can be agitated out. So we have a lower bubble count. We can't claim 100% bubble free all the time. Nobody could ever do that in resin, but we have a better bubble-free percentage. So if you're familiar with the saltwater test, which is becoming more and more popular, where you boil water, dump way more salt in there than you should, and then throw your dice in there. If they float, they're a low-density die and probably have air bubbles in it. And then you flick them around, and then if the same number tends to show up near the top every time, you can find out where your air bubble is, and your dice are biased. When you put our dice into the saltwater test, they plummet to the bottom and make a poof of salt off to the side, because there's no air bubbles inside and a higher density resin. So and that, of course, is then going to end up with a better balanced die. Also, we've had independent third-party reviewers who did some component reviews on our dice say, "Hey, I did a roll test on them," and you always grit your teeth when you hear things like that. You never know, like, what's going to turn up, and maybe they work. All things go horribly wrong, and he's got like the one die with a bubble in it or something like that, and he concluded that they are, quote, near statistically perfect. After his roll testing. So
you heard it here first, folks. You don't need to buy Game Science anymore. You can just buy the Gatekeeper Games dice.
I never said that.
But I did, and you can quote me on that.
And this is a podcast, so you can't see me nodding. I've just set out, in a market that with so many amazing dice manufacturers that already exist, you really have to you have to make something that's new and in some ways better. So that's what I set out to do. The half and half design is really, really cool, and it's really unique, and nobody's done it before. And then, shooting for the higher density resin, shooting for a better, bubble-free percentage to try to make it in that regard, new and a better product. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, they're dice. I'm not going to pretend they're not. They're dice. They roll numbers. They do random generation of stuff. They're prettier, and they do it a little bit better. So yeah.
So did you ever have any complaints of somebody chucking the dice at his fellow players or game master, and somebody getting injured in the process?
No complaints from the people throwing them. Very effective. High density dice do a lot of damage to a forehead. And our caltrops are even more effective than the competitors' caltrops.
And that's all the time that we have for today, folks. Thank you very much for coming out to chat with us.
The D4. We've all stepped on one.
Yeah, we did. So, thank you very much for coming out and having a chat with us.
You're welcome.
The Wild Die Podcast is not affiliated with or endorsed by Pinnacle Entertainment Group or official Pinnacle licensees. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are the property and copyright of the respected owners. All music and artwork is used with permission of Pinnacle Entertainment Group. All items are used under fair use and educational and review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of the Wild Die Podcast.
I hope you're working or I'm going to throw you in the garbage.
Coconut.